The semester is over. I'm done with all my big work. I still have some smaller things to do, but I am getting excited about reading again. I have more time to read. I'm done with the big stuff like my defense for my proposal, and all I want to do is sit and read all day. So I thought, what a better way to do that than to do one of those challenges where you read all week depending on a random generator of pages. So I'm gonna do that. I've never done that before. It's a little bit unnerving because I feel like sometimes I'm just not in the mood to read too much, so I'll just read like 5 pages a day, and then some other days I'll read like half the book. So it's going to be very interesting to see if I'm kind of forced to read a specific amount, what is gonna happen. I'm a bit scared. So I created this random generator. I have 25 as the lowest. I have 50, 100, 150, and 200. I'm not gonna lie, if it goes on 200, it's gonna be a challenge. The challenge is gonna be challenging. So I'm going to do this for this week. I have some stuff going on the weekend, so I'll just do it for the weekdays. So let's roll for the first day. Let's see what we're gonna read today, and I am going to count audiobooks as reading because I still have things to do. I like to listen to a lot of audiobooks when I walk, especially with my dogs. I have 2 dogs and they require a lot of walking, and so I like to get a lot of my reading done that way. So I'm still gonna count that. Okay, let's... Okay, sorry. Oh, sorry. Okay, 100. I feel like 100 is not bad. I feel like I can do 100 today. So yeah, let's go on to reading 100 pages. The book that I'm going to be reading from today is Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I already started this book earlier last week, so I'm 130 pages through, and it's going great so far. I love it. It's kind of a more modern take on Harry Potter. I was in a mood of kind of a very Harry Potter-esque fantasy, and I didn't want to reread Harry Potter. I wanted to try something new. So this really hits the spot for me with that. At this point, I'm a bit confused with all the different types of people and types of magic or magic people in this world. I feel like there's a lot of them. So I'm hoping that will get clarified as the book moves forward, but so far so good. I'm really loving it. I'm hoping to see more kind of academic slice of life type of scenes in the book. I really love it when authors bringing the mundane into like a heavy fantasy story. I think that really makes the story stand out. So I'm hoping to see that a lot, especially because our main character is going to college. I'll read until 230 today, and I'll let you know my thoughts. Alright, we're back from the walk, the 2 walks, and I've listened to 50 pages during the walk. I thought it's gonna be more, but it's not. So I'm going to be doing the remaining of the 50 pages as physical reading. I'm still enjoying the book. I do feel like those mundane elements that I've told you about earlier are not as prominent in this book. I feel like it's mostly action or just talking about the world building and learning more about that, which is fine, but I do feel like when there's a bit too much of that, it makes the story, at least to me, seem too intense, and there's no balancing elements for me personally. I'm also not a fan of the love interest in this book. I feel like he's just kind of blank to me, you know? It's easy for me to see the different people in this book, the different characters, but the love interest, for some reason, he just comes across as so blank and vapid, and like there's no substance there. So that makes me a little bit sad because I don't really care for their evolving romance and I don't really see it and I don't feel it. But the remaining parts of this book are really interesting. So yeah, I'm gonna read the remaining 50 physically. Right now I think I'm gonna sit down and do some actual work for my proposal. I defended my proposal, but I still have to do some revisions and stuff like that. So I think I'm gonna do that for a couple hours, and then I'm gonna go back to physically reading. Good morning. I managed to read 100 pages yesterday, which I'm very happy about. So right now I'm halfway through the book actually, which is great, making good progress with this challenge. The day just started. I'm about to head to the gym, but before that I thought I'm gonna spin the wheel so that I know how many pages I should read today. I'm a bit scared. No. Yesterday, I wouldn't say it was a challenge to read 100, but I feel like with all the things that I need to do in a day, it was the maximum I could have done. And I'm like, how am I gonna read 200 today? I don't know. Good news is I'll be almost done with the book. Well, I better get on with the day and see where it takes me and see what I can do. I will try my very best. Yeah, I will try my very best to read it and get it done. That would be interesting. Why did I put 200 on the wheel? Anyway, let's get on with the day. It's currently 5 p.m. and I read 10 pages. Okay, we're locking in. I'm making tea. I'm getting cozy. We're locking in. We're doing this. It's the next day and I did it. I read 200 pages last night. That was insane. That was actually a very crazy experience. Every second that I had after 5 p.m, reading. Non-stop reading. I actually slept at 1:30 so that I can finish my pages, and I did it, but that was not a fun experience, you know? It's like I just did it because I knew I had to do it for this challenge. I didn't do it because I was motivated by the story, and I'm feeling very tired today. So we'll see how the day goes, but if I do have another 200, I'm not doing it. We're gonna switch it to something else. Like, I am hoping though that I'm gonna get like maybe 100 or 50 because I would like to finish this book today. I'm not gonna give you my thoughts on it just now, like my final thoughts. I'll just wait until the end of the day to finish this book. So let's roll the wheel. Okay, 25. What a treat. What a treat after yesterday, huh? I'll read 25. I was kind of hoping for more so I can finish this book. So I might go over 25 just to finish it. All right. All right, welcome back. How are we doing? It's Thursday right now. I wasn't feeling too well yesterday, so I didn't end up filming. But I did read my 25 pages. And I actually read quite a bit today. I finished a book and I started a new book, which we're gonna talk about soon. But I haven't spun the wheel yet. I don't know if the pages that I read today were enough to cover for the wheel or if I need to read more. So we're gonna spin the wheel now. And actually, let me just count how many pages I read so that I know before spinning the wheel. Okay, so we're at 67 pages for today. Let's spin the wheel and then I'll talk about the books. 150, so I still have to read about 90 pages today. I'm not mad at that. I think it's feasible. You think it's feasible? Okay, sorry, we're back. Just had to change locations because the sun was in my face. So I finished today Legendborn by Tracy Dion. So yesterday I read 25 pages and today I read like the remaining 50 pages and I'm done with it. Overall, I like the book. It's a good little fantasy book that you throw in there. I didn't think it was anything out of the ordinary. I did think that by the end of the book, I kind of became a bit bored and I didn't really care anymore. I feel like it had a strong premise and it started really well, but the pacing just felt off for some reason for me. I remember halfway through the book, it had been only like 5 days or like max a week since the event started and it was already getting so intense and the romance was already developing so quickly. I also felt like there are a bit too many elements in this book and too many concepts that were brought in. I don't know, I just felt like it made it unnecessarily complex. But overall, it was an enjoyable read. Like, I had a good time reading it. I thought it was interesting. I think I never actually gave you a synopsis about this. This was the story of a girl named Bree. Her mom dies in a car accident at the beginning of the book, and you see her go through the struggles of loss and grief. Right after her mom dies, just a couple weeks later or something, the book starts with Bree going to college with her best friend and then getting involved in a secret society that is based off of the legend of King Arthur. So it's an interesting premise, but then the story develops into a little bit more than that, which has an interesting concept to it, but overall I just thought it was a bit too much and a bit overdone, in my opinion. Okay, and then I finished that one and I actually only read one chapter of this new book. I wanted to pick up something else, something different. I wanted to pick up maybe a classic because I hadn't read a classic this month yet. And I went with 1984 by George Orwell. So I'm only like 25 pages through. I literally just started the book. I'm already liking it. The tone is very somber, very sad, very heavy on you. I think the story is going to be a little bit about a sort of revolution, revolt of the government of this country that is incredibly totalitarian, and freedom of speech is not allowed, freedom of thought is not allowed. It also starts in spring, like in April actually, and we're in April, so it's very fitting. When I was walking, I could see outside, you know, the nature is like trying to come alive, but it's still very dead. Like there's not much greenery outside, it's all very grayish. And it just like fit perfectly with the tone of this book, at least how it starts. So I still have about 90 or like 80 something pages left to read today. And then tomorrow is the last day of the challenge. And I do have to say that although I had a good time like reading at a faster pace than I usually do, I'm excited not having to read as a chore. Good morning. It is Friday right now. It's the last day of the challenge, and this morning I spinned the wheel, but I didn't really film myself talking through it. It was 25 pages, so it was a very nice way to end this challenge with a very easy 25 pages, which I already read this morning. So this leaves me at page 125 of 1984, so I'm officially in part 2 of the story. As you can see, highly enjoying it. I did not expect to enjoy this story as much as I do. It's really thought-provoking. I knew it was going to be a discussion about totalitarianism, but I did not expect it to be so complex and so much there that I can think about and I can search more about and educate myself on. I think it's really, really interesting, and I'm thinking to actually do a whole vlog on this book because I have so many thoughts. I want to do so much more reading surrounding this. There's actually other essays that Orwell wrote in the period close to the publication of this novel that are kind of more explicitly stating the arguments that he's making in this book. So I really want to read those essays as well. So I think I'm going to do that in the other video. But this is a masterpiece of literature. I'm so blessed to be reading it, and I'm so happy I picked it up. It was always one of those classics that it was on my shelf forever, and I knew at some point I'll get to it, and I just picked it up on a whim. It was the best decision. I'm having so much fun with it, and it's so interesting. I love how he discusses language, speech, and writing, and how that is related, and how that creates thought and plays into the freedom of expression of a person. I think it's so clever, and there's just so many amazing elements here that I'm gonna save my thoughts for the actual video that I'm gonna do this on. So the challenge is officially completed. Yay! I read a whole entire book of 500 pages, which was Legendborn by Tracy Dion, which was a nice fantasy world that I immersed myself into this week. And then towards the end of the week, I started about a third through the classic 1984. Overall, I think this challenge was a net positive. I think for sure I would have stalled and made this a very long experience because, as I explained before, I was kind of getting bored towards the end of the book and I don't really care anymore. And when that happens to me, I tend to leave the book on the side and then pick it up a week later, and then read 20 pages and then pick it up 2 weeks later. And I just make this a very long process because I'm no longer interested. And so overall, I think this challenge was a good tool for me to push past my usual procrastination with books. I don't think it's the type of challenge that is realistically possible for me to do multiple times in a month. Maybe once a month, or like maybe once 2-3 months. If I want to get out of a reading slump, for example, if I push myself to just read a certain number of pages a day, I just know I have to do it, and it's gonna get me in the reading mood whether I like it or not. So I think that could be a good strategy. But other than that, going into reading a little bit more leisurely and a little bit more because I love it and not because I have to is something that I'm looking forward to. Stay tuned for the video on 1984. Thank you so much for watching.